You look like you've been gambling all night. Like you stayed up all night to try and win back what you lost in heads up poker.
Yeah.
But I interrupted that, and you're like,
"Yep,
I guess I'm here now."
fuck, guys, can you please hold my seat? I gotta go do a podcast.
RJ, I'm gonna start you off with a video today. Are you excited for a video?
Yeah, sorry, I was taking a sip of Diet Coke, and that limits my excitement a little bit, but I am actually excited.
This will make it very apparent what we're doing today, and then we'll talk about it after that. It's about a minute and a half. I feel like let's just play the whole thing because it's fun.
The spoon proves mightier than the bars at supposedly escape-proof Alcatraz prison. 3 bank robbers serving long terms scratched their way through grills covering an air vent, climbed a drainage pipe, and disappeared from the forbidding rock in San Francisco Bay. It appears to be the first successful escape in the history of the maximum security prison, and the flight is attributed by Warden Olin Blackwell to the deteriorating condition of the prison, crumbling concrete and eroding metals, with $5 million needed for repairs.
I love this whole show. It's awesome.
The men the walls couldn't hold are Frank Morris and John and Clarence Anglin. Authorities believe that Morris, who has a superior IQ, masterminded the escape. Ironically, the wanted posters offer only the nominal reward of $50 each for information leading to the arrest of the prisoners. They painstakingly fashioned dummies of plaster with hair of paintbrush bristles to stand in for them during cell check, while they covered an escape hole with a cardboard grill. All of this was within easy visual range of the guards in the gun galleries. They climbed drain pipes to the top of the cell block and then slid down vents to the ground. Again, all of this within sight of guards. The escape triggered the greatest manhunt in San Francisco's history, as agents of the FBI, Coast Guardsmen, Highway Patrol, sheriff's deputies, and local police join in the search. Whatever their fate, the 3 convicts have apparently accomplished a feat that many have tried with no success.
Next week on Batman. I fucking love it. I don't know why that tickles me so much. These like old ass newsreels from the 50s, or that would have been from the 60s, I guess. But yeah, we're talking about 3 guys that escaped Alcatraz today, never to be seen again.
An elite team of private detectives.
What if balloons are aliens? Maybe that's the key component we're missing.
Cover-ups.
John's guilty.
Mysteries that need to be solved.
Maybe Mormons need mountains.
Richard, shut up.
Isn't that kind of fun?
Yeah, if you ignore any kind of reason or logic.
Come on.
It's delightful.
I just love how they call him like a super genius. This guy, he had 133 IQ. Let's look up people with 133 IQ. I guarantee they're not geniuses.
Kid Rock.
Yeah. Ironically enough, Bad Bunny as well. I guess it's pretty good. Anyways,
I guess it's pretty good.
well, it's just like I feel like, yeah, I thought 140s was really good, but I should have looked that up before I said.
I thought like 120 was kind of like the bar.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, because it's saying the
Anything beyond
98th
that,
percentile, so that's good. Like 133 is 98th percentile. That's good. It's pretty good. But what do you know? What do you know about Alcatraz, RJ? Anything? Did they teach you anything?
Oh, a lot. I've been there.
Oh yeah, good.
Yeah. Yep.
Do they talk about the escape? Because it's pretty.
Yep.
That's good.
Yep. It's a big part of it. And just kind of generally how horrible prison is in overall. And it's kind of fucked up that it's like a tourist destination, because it's funny also in that video, they're like the warden immediately blaming the condition of the prison. You know, the one he runs, and then asking for $5 million, which God knows what that was in 1960s dollars, because that's all what they all do. They're just like, give us more money. It's happening now, now in the US. The exact same fucking, except they're not escaping. They're just adding more people who have no reason to be in prison to the prisons.
I completely agree. The prison industrial complex is a real thing, and it's fucking scary. Right now, in May 2025, Donald Trump went on one of his dumbass rampages saying he's going to reopen Alcatraz. And if you look at how much it costs to bring it up to standard, it's $2 billion. So
Yeah.
it's $5 million in 1963, I guess, is when they kind of shut it down. Would have been probably close to that because they're keeping it up now because it's a big cash cow.
Yeah.
But it's keeping it to what it normally, like probably where it was standards then, just for like.
Well, and don't get me wrong, like I'm glad that it is open because like it should be recorded what it is and not forgotten, more or less.
For sure. So, Alcatraz Federal Penitentiary, nicknamed The Rock, is located 1.25 miles, 2 kilometers off the coast of San Francisco.
Sorry, $54 million. Just.
Yeah, I don't understand why it costs $2 billion now. Then you know what I mean, like.
Well, yeah, because it's effectively like it probably has like none of the same health or safety. Like you're talking about like an 80-year-old fucking prison versus one that even today they're not good, but they're still leagues and leagues better.
Yeah, agreed. I would imagine
unless
like,
it's in Alabama, then it's probably worse than Alcatraz now.
Maybe. Unless it's in like Russia, it's probably worse. Like I don't think it's any place in America would be worse than what Alcatraz was in the 60s nowadays. I doubt it. I highly doubt it.
In Alabama, there's a new documentary that came out mostly, but it's called The Alabama Solution. And these are like the worst prisons in the United States. And they kept a guy in solitary confinement and he caught like 11 rats in one night.
Nice.
Just in bottles and shit. Yeah.
Just
and he couldn't leave he couldn't leave any food or anything on the floor because they'd destroy it. So he'd hang it on the door, and then they'd write him up and get him in trouble for hanging shit on the door.
Alabama. For some reason, I'm not surprised.
Yep, and that's in the wake of beating the fucking shit out of him so hard that he lost sight in his left eye.
Oh, we got one of those. It's like John Brisker beating the fuck out of someone until they usually you got a good brisker in.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right. Yep. Well, Alcatraz was okay, but first, before I start, maybe I should have said this. I was thinking about this. I think if you escape prison and you get away, you've served your sentence. I think you should be able to be off, like get let off. I think that's a fair deal. They can't hold you and you get out. I think you deserve to be out. I think that's okay.
I feel like we're not thinking that one through.
Come on, it's awesome. Think of all all the escape attempts there'd be all the time. It'd be so much fun to hear about. And then all these people get shot. Come on, it'd be great.
Well, I'm okay with putting people who should be in jail and not letting them out for winning a game.
Come on, get some spice in your life, RJ. And here's the thing, like most of these guys are in jail for drug charges. Like, let's be honest.
Yeah, that's not who I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the drug guys. I'm talking about the sexually violent guys.
Yeah, those guys can't. Those guys aren't allowed the escape clause. Let's call it the escape clause. The escape clause is for drug convicted,
not non-violent offenders.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
Because
I don't think they should be in jail in the first place, but
if they can, like, what's a compromise, right? Like,
yeah,
if they all think they should be, I don't think they should be. Let's let them running man the shit out of this place. Get out of there.
Let's instead make governors have to fight each other in a pit to be able to stay governors and stay in control of prisons.
These are both good plans. We don't have to have one or the other.
Yeah, Google the governor of Alabama, so that way you can see who be fighting people hand to hand in death combat.
I forgot we were talking about that. My daughter was saying, "Why do we have wars? Why don't we just get the presidents to fight, and then whoever wins, that's the end?" And
yes.
I'm like, you're 100% correct. They used to do that in like the 12th century. Like, these do shit like that all the time.
Yep.
Now they don't.
Yep.
Are you talking about Kay Ivey?
Yep.
Oh yeah, let's get her in a fucking pit. Yeah, dude.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, look at that. The third picture of hers thumbs upping at some sort of, like, I'm sure it's a Klan rally. I don't know what it is, but I'm sure it's a Klan rally. And just her getting fucking socked in the face by a person she put to jail. Is that what you're talking about, or the next guy who wants to be governor? That's even funnier.
No, that's what I'm talking about. Is Kay Ivey. Yeah.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying who's she fighting? Just the next guy who wants to be governor? You just have to hold it like King of the Hill?
Yeah, that'd be cool as fuck.
Okay, so you just have a bunch of fucking meathead roid
Well,
heads.
not even like you because here's the thing, you could give it to the prisoners. So like if the prisoners can kill the governor, they get to be the governor, and that's extra easy because the prisoners are actually being contracted out to work at Kay's mansion for no money. These black prisoners. Interesting.
Is that actually happening?
Yes.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, that's what the biggest problem with the prison industrial complex is, because it effectively nullifies the 13th Amendment, which, ended slavery.
Not if you pay them pennies.
That's true. Income's income, right? $2 a day to clip that old fucking haggard cunt's bushes. Probably not even just the outside ones.
I don't know. She probably has a couple of her favorites. This chick looks evil as fuck. That's the best part about it. She actually looks like I wouldn't even be mad if someone like fought her to the death. I'd be happy. She looks super evil. Like super evil. It's unreal.
Someone needs to beat her to death with a bunch of soap and sock.
Yeah. All right. So Alcatraz Federal Penitentiary, nicknamed The Rock, is located 1.25 miles or 2 kilometers off the coast of San Francisco. The buildings on Alcatraz Island were originally built in the 1850s as a military fort. I'm sure they go through this entire like history lesson when you go there.
Yeah, it was a long time ago, so I don't really remember. I just, what I remember most vividly about that trip was a guy explaining what it was like being in solitary confinement, and the short version is really not good.
Yeah, I bet. I have questions. Like, how do you know, buddy? Like, you're on a fucking tour boat right now. Shut the fuck up. You were in solitary? Like, you know what I mean?
No, it was, they had you wear, like, the headphones, and you got, like a guided tour, like, audio, so it was, like, a statement from, like, a prisoner.
Oh, it wasn't even, like, some guy on a boat with a microphone. It was, like, a pre-recorded message.
Yeah, it was when we were walking through the prison.
I see. All right, that's fair enough. So, yeah, this was a heavily armed little fort trying to see what ships were coming in and out of San Francisco at the time. And the fort's barracks were also used to house Confederate sympathizers during the Civil War. So it's basically been a prison its entire time. It's not like it just opened in 1932, because or 1933, I guess. That's what, like, it was a prison since 1933, but it's been a prison the whole time. Like, in 1910 and to 1912, it was like literally a military prison. So it's been a prison forever, for a super long time. In 1933, the U.S. Department of Justice acquired the fort and adapted it to use as a federal prison. And in 1934, they were open for business. They built and upgraded the cell blocks that were already there and built some brand new sniper towers so they could see every inch of the rock, which I didn't realize they had such fucking visual prowess over the entire place with snipers aimed in every direction. That's crazy to me. Like, I should have known, but I just didn't think of it. You know what I mean? Like, it makes sense. All 4 cell blocks were ready to take the worst of the worst. The worst of the worst actually only went really to 1 block, but it was considered escape proof. So anybody that was considered a flight risk got sent there. Anybody who tried to escape a different prison before, they just said, fuck it. I don't care if this guy transported vehicles, like stolen vehicles across state lines. This guy's going to the Rock. Like, try and get away from that.
Have you ever seen Brawl in Cell Block 99?
Yes, that's the one with Kevin James, is it? Or who is in that one? It's a weird actor. And I was like, it was Vince Vaughn.
Vince Vaughn, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
It was Vince Vaughn. I was like, this movie's so badass. Oh my God.
Oh yeah, that movie fucking rips. Anyways, like the final circle of prison hell is what I imagine like Alcatraz was like.
For sure. All the cells there were 9 by 5 and 7 feet high. Very open concept. I'm sure you've been there. I've never been there. I just kind of looked. They didn't really have walls, I guess. No privacy. All they had was a bed, a desk, a wash basin, and a toilet along the back wall. And like I said, they had 4 cell blocks, A, B, C, D block. All blocks were 3 stories high and had a watch at either side with a machine gun set up. Which, do they have that? Like, this is cool that you went there, because it's hard to see what exists or what they say existed back then versus what's actually there now. You know what I mean?
That is pretty empty. So I'm pretty sure I would remember if they had guns in there still.
Well, I don't mean that. Obviously, they don't have the guns,
Yeah.
but like they had apparently had mounted machine guns just sitting there. Like if you try to run out from your cell, they'd fuck you up.
Well, I believe it. I mean, it's in America, and two, it was the 60s. So
Yeah.
I feel like they had those outside of grocery stores in a lot of places.
Yeah.
If
The
you
D
tried to
block.
steal an apple.
The D block was where the worst of the worst went. That's where they got all the murderers and all the like the baddest of people. Like 6 cells of D block were
Yeah,
specifically. Sorry.
And the people that said, "Hey, we should treat poor people nice."
Those are
Worst of the worst.
I'm talking like straight up
People
gangsters.
who went, "Hey, what really is the big problem with communism?" Straight to D block.
And when you were there, did they show you the hole? The 6 cells in D block that were considered the hole, like solitary confinement?
Yes, I think so. I think that's where we heard the recording.
Okay. So yeah,
That's
that's
very little. I was like 11.
Oh, it was when you were a kid?
Oh yeah, I was much younger.
Nice. I thought you were like a kid, but like in your teen years where you could.
Oh no. Yeah, I was like 11 or 12 maybe.
Is this like some sort of scared straight thing your parents were doing with you? Were you acting out? They're like, we're going to San Francisco, RJ.
Yeah, I went to San Francisco and I smiled a little bit too big at a gay person. Like, we can't have this. No, it's just, that's the thing. It's just like a fun thing to do in San Francisco.
That's cool.
Yeah.
D block, they held such criminals as Al Capone, Elliot Ness's arch enemy. We talked about him in an episode before. Machine Gun Kelly was there, which I don't really know too much about him, but his name was George Kelly, and I don't want to know anymore because I don't feel like talking about gangsters. They're kind of boring, to tell you the truth. They had a guy named the Birdman of Alcatraz. That was his nickname. Robert Franklin Stroud, which I felt this is an actual interesting story, which this guy like committed murder, I guess, 30 years before the end of the place. But when he was in prison, he would just like study birds, and he wrote like actual bird, like what do you call like papers on actual different birds and aviary trends around his area, and he became like a world-renowned what's that word?
Ornithologist.
Yeah, he became that from behind prison as a murderer because of his good writings. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I bet he probably doesn't think that's cool. The family of the person he murdered.
Yeah, they probably didn't buy the book.
Yeah,
that.
I don't think they were a big fan of his bird interests in the second chapter of his life. They're probably a little bit hung up on
just get over it. Get over it. I'm paying my price here. Get over it. Yeah, aside from the 3-story buildings, the 4 main subblocks, there was the warden's office, a visitation room, the library, and a barber shop. Overall, Alcatraz was a scary place. You can attest to that. If you were sent there, it was a statement by the government to be sent to Alcatraz. Since it was considered escape-proof, it felt like the end of the line for most. Excuse me.
I like how we had our own like supervillain prison then.
Yeah, it's Arkham.
Yeah, it's like fucking, what do they call it in Marvel? The Raft.
Oh yeah, the Raft. Yeah, it's kind of it's true though. It is kind of like you just send like
you're gonna go to jail with the worst of the worst, the Vulture and
Multiple Man or whatever bad guy.
Yeah. The Green Goblin. And a guy who loves birds. But no, not that one. That one's the Vulture. This is a different bird guy.
He's just the Birdman's all over the Vulture the whole time. Just leave me alone.
Yeah, I think they're fighting over. He's like, I'm the Birdman of Alcatraz. I'm literally a Birdman. Shut up, Adrian.
But I write books. So yeah, the inmates or prisoners that were brought to Alcatraz nicknamed the boat that brought them there the Phantom Boat because they called themselves ghosts when they landed. And I don't know, I did reasons to believe that because when you get there, you lost your name. You were assigned a number, and that's how you were to be addressed, if you were addressed at all. Because they tell you very specifically when you get into Alcatraz that you don't have a voice anymore. You only speak when spoken to. Do not speak otherwise, which I found a really crazy tough rule. Even not even they're supposed to be silent the whole time. I didn't know that about Alcatraz. They told them to be no talking ever unless I talk to you. Or you have special hours of the day where you can do different things and talk. But I find that's pretty scary. You take away their freedom of movement and also their freedom of thinking. If you can't talk, you lose a lot more freedoms than just, you know what I mean? I that's what I feel like anyway.
Yeah, no, you're right. Well, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, if you can't talk, you can't organize.
For sure. I don't know if this is true, but there's I try to dig into this a little bit, but they're saying that there's recording devices all through the prison too. So even if you were talking, they'd catch whatever you're saying anyway. It's scary. It's a scary ass place to be.
But yeah, prisons in general are fucking horrifying. You effectively go from, being a regular person in society to being less than human. You lose all of your access to any normal consideration of civil rights. It's crazy.
For sure. And I think I do believe that to be a deterrent to a point for crime in the States at that point. But there's also those guys that got sent there that wore that like a badge of honor. I'm so badass that they had to send me to Alcatraz. They didn't care that they were in that kind of environment.
Oh yeah.
Which
and that's the problem with the prison in general in the world, is that it doesn't do enough to actually help assist people's extremely toxic mindsets.
No, reform is not the top of most people's list. Recidivism is. Whether I can get them out and keep them out, that's what I want. It's fucking crazy. And those are two different things. Although they sound the same, they're not.
And that's the funny thing, is keeping people out of prison is no longer the goal for a lot of them, because they make money by having them in prison. And they use them as free fucking labor. That's what it is, effectively free labor.
For sure. But I feel like once you get to let's say you go to jail at 20 for 25 years, you're out at 45, they'll probably want you back for sure, because that makes some money. But if you go to jail at 35 for 25 years and then you get out after 25 years, they don't want you to come back. You're old and useless now. You're not a good slave anymore. Stay out of jail.
No, yeah, but especially when it's a private prison, who do you think's paying them?
For sure.
The goal is for them to make money off of having someone in there, so they don't care, because it's the numbers.
Yeah, no.
The state pays for it, and they collect the check from our fucking tax money. So they don't, and that's why they don't give a fuck how they treat them, because it's not about treating them. It's not about keeping anybody safe. It's about the profit and the numbers.
Yeah. And
so I would just argue that they don't give a fuck. They don't care how old you are. They just want people in prison.
Yeah, you're probably right, because it is a numbers game. Who cares if they die in 3 years? They were there for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
It.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Alcatraz.
For every old geezer that dies, there's some 18-year-old kid who, committed the horrible atrocity of selling weed one time.
Hey, let's not talk about that kind of. This is a true crime podcast, okay? This isn't crazy. Selling weed.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Disgusting. Horrifying, really.
My government just took that over and said, fuck it. Yeah, so some inmates like having the reputation of being at Alcatraz. I think that's what we're going to talk about today, is some guys that actually liked having that moniker of being Alcatraz guys. That's kind of the impression I get from these guys. Alcatraz was shut down in 1963 and now is one of the biggest tourist attractions in San Francisco, in the San Francisco area, I guess, drawing over 1.5 million people annually, which I think is a lot of people to go visit the Rock. More than I thought.
Yeah, it's not that interesting.
Yeah, and it's been a long time, I feel like, anyways, I don't know. Maybe that's, to me, if I went to San Francisco, I would probably go, but you're right, it would be something to do in San Francisco. It wouldn't be anyways.
Yeah, you gotta, you go and it's enticing for some people because it's probably the only place you can get a T-shirt that says "I visited a place where horrifying crimes against humanity took place, and took pictures of it with my iPhone and gave."
You could do that all over the place.
Yeah, that's true.
You just got to go to Minneapolis at this point.
Thailand.
Thailand for sure. Ugh. Over its over its 30-year run as a federal prison, 36 men tried to escape in 14 different escape attempts. You heard the numbers in that. It was, I think, 10 of those people got shot, 2 of them drowned, and a couple of them were captured. So in the criminal world, if you could escape Alcatraz, you'd be a hero. You'd be that guy. So 13 of those escape attempts were attempts. Like I said, many got caught or died trying. During the one of those escapes, 3 of those men supposedly escaped. Those 3 men were Frank Morris and brothers John and Clarence Anglin. We'll talk about those guys real quick here. So Frank Lee Morris was born in Washington, D.C. He was a foster kid, orphan at the age of 11, floated around from foster home to foster home for a couple of years until he was convicted of his first misdemeanor at the age of 13. And he basically spent the rest of his life in jail. He was arrested for drug possession, armed robbery, sent to jail. This guy was considered to be very intelligent with an IQ of 133. As he got older, he would get incarcerated in bigger and bigger prisons, to which he escaped many times before. Frank Morris was an escape artist. He loved the challenge of getting out of prison. And Frank Morris wasn't a guy you'd picture in a federal penitentiary. He wasn't some big, scary brute who killed his wife or something like that. He was very unopposing, wasn't big, slim, small guy, didn't talk much, wasn't a loudmouth. He listened a lot. That's what people say. He was very into what's going on around him, very observant. He spent a lot of his time in the libraries of the prisons that he spent time at, and he was reading, most of the times he'd be reading like technical manuals or how-to books, which I guess if there's only like 100 books and you're in there for life, it's pretty good books to read. I don't know.
Probably.
Morris was a smart dude. He wanted to know how everything worked. He'd ask a lot of questions about like the inner workings of things that people found annoying.
Locks.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. You'd be like, so when do you change? When's the guard change? What time's that at exactly? Like,
I'm just curious on the standard operating procedure and project management behind running this prison. That's all.
Yeah. In January
I'm just such
1960,
a nerd for efficiencies and business development.
when I get out of here, I'm gonna have the most efficient business there is. I just need to know how this works. In January 1960, Frank Morris was sent to Alcatraz under the number AZ1441. He just escaped Louisiana State Penitentiary, and they'd caught him, and they sent him to the unescapable prison. So, since Morris was escaping prisons all the time, I imagine he thought of escaping Alcatraz would be a fun challenge for him. So, as soon as he arrived at the Rock, he started to formulate a plan. He needed people to help because this was a pretty complicated thing to get out of here. And he recruits 3 other people who we knew from other stints in other incarcerations at different prisons. And it turns out the people he sought to recruit had already been making some plans of their own to try to escape. One of the other members of the escape squad, I wrote escape squad, Jesus fucking Christ, was a guy named Alan West. Now, Alan West was born on March 25th, 1929 in Brooklyn, New York. He had been in Alcatraz for years before ringleader Frank Morris had arrived. He was sentenced in 1954 for 10 years on the charge of transporting stolen vehicles across state lines. And he'd been sent to Alcatraz in 1957 for a failed escape attempt at the state prison in Florida. He was assigned number AZ1130. In later statements to the FBI, Alan West was convinced he was the ringleader of this entire escape plan, which was probably true at first until Frank Morris showed up. But Alan West was like, it was all me, dude. Like, he's the guy who didn't escape. He got actually stuck behind. But he told the FBI, like, this whole plan was me. It was all me, dude. Yeah. It wasn't. And he was sent to Alcatraz, same reason, flight risk. In in Alcatraz, in 1958, he got sent to the hole, D block. He was in B block the most of the time, but he got sent to D block to because he distracted the guards long enough for somebody else to get stabbed. So that's good. He was that guy. So they figured out he was the one doing
Nice.
that. Got sent to the hole, and he hated the hole. Actually terrified the shit out of him. He was there for a good couple months before they got back to B block. And he, after that, was like, I got to get out of here. This is the worst place I've ever been to. So his motivation for leaving was to see if he could do it, but also because he was scared of going back to the hole. He hated it there. So
Bless you.
this cola, this Schweppes is really bubbling it up down there. When Morris gets to Alcatraz in 1960, uh, West meets up with Morris and they start scheming right away. West had already been going. Morris knew that he needed West to expedite getting out of the hellhole because he just got there and he'd been like West had been there for a bunch of times. So he used him as like this guy knows everybody. This guy's going to be useful. The other two accomplices were brothers John and Clarence Anglin. John Clarence was born May 2nd, 1930, and Clarence Anglin was born May 11th, 1931. Just basically a year apart, brothers. And they were two of 14 brothers and sisters when they grew up. And they were like a little farmer family in Ruskin, Florida. They were poor as shit, and they smashed those 16 members of the family into a small shack that they could barely fit into. These guys got into crime to like feed themselves. They started very young to try and feed their family. Really, this is a very sad story. These two actually that they were in jail, but they just got into it young. And in their 20s, John Clarence and their older brother Alfred were all arrested for bank robberies and organized crime in Columbia, Alabama. They tried to rob a bank with a toy gun, which I didn't even think that was possible back then. But that's fun. I guess they had toys that look enough like a gun where someone would be scared of them. All three of those guys escaped different prisons, and I'm not really sure where Alfred ended up after all the escape attempts, but John and Clarence were eventually sent to Alcatraz to serve their 60-year sentence for trying to rob a bank with a gun. That's a lot. They did escape their Louisiana State Prison and got caught 5 days later. So they were out for a bit, and then they got sent to Alcatraz, another high risk of escape. John got the number AZ1476 and Clarence got the number AZ1485. Now I thought about writing this entire episode with using their numbers, but I was like, this is fucking dumb and it's hard to do. So I just called them their real names. Moving on. John and Clarence were very close with each other. They're basically tied together. Like they're twins, but born a year apart. Like people say they finish each other's sentences and shit, which is weird. It's creepy. One was mad, the other one would calm the other one down. They're inseparable, always together.
They had sex.
Maybe not even on purpose the first time. They're all just jammed inside that house so tightly it just slipped in, and they said, "I love this. We're in for life." They weren't the smartest of dudes, but they're very determined. They would listen to Frank Morris's plans to get out of there, and they would do it to a T, and they would do it smart. They would listen to how to do it too, so they wouldn't get caught doing it. They liked them. These guys, their motivation to getting out was they just wanted to get out of there. They wanted to go home. They're dumb people. It's not that they're dumb. It's just they weren't looking at it like a challenge. They were like, I hate prison, which is a fair fucking like thing to think, especially when you're Alcatraz. Okay. So the Anglin brothers meet up with West before Morris shows up. So they were already planning, all three of them together. And then in 1960, it was on. They start their plan to escape. Alcatraz was a hard place to plan something as intricate as this because of the stuff I was talking about. Like you weren't even allowed to talk. You know what I mean? So West already started to think his plan to begin before Morris even shows up was that he was given the assignment of painting the roof above B block where he was assigned. And when he was up there, he was noticing that all the old vents were filled in with concrete except for one. He found one that was still wide open and it was forgotten about. So he looked at that like, that's a good place to get out of here. It had bars on the inside of it, but like we could get rid of bars. That's nothing. We just need some proper tools. Alcatraz, an old building. When it was refurbished in the 30s, it was one of the longest concrete buildings in the world. but it also sat on an island where salt water is smashing up against it all day long. So by the 60s, the building had already started to fall apart due to erosion and the salt water. And a lot of the prisoners were already noticing cracks forming in their rooms from all this erosion. It wouldn't be super obvious to just a person walking through, but a guy who sits in there 23 hours a day looking at his walls saw cracks forming over time. Alan West noticed, and he started seeing how weak the concrete actually was. So he stole like a spoon. They said the spoon thing earlier, and he starts scraping it a bit. He sees how easy it is to get off. So he's like, okay, that'll be a good thing later. Okay, I feel like I can get out of this.
That's crazy. That got him off.
Yeah, dude. Is that that was it? Okay.
Yeah, it's just a weird thing to make a dude come.
Yeah, everybody's into different stuff, dude.
Yeah.
West also noticed when he was doing the painting that there was an unused hallway that ran behind the cells on the first level of the block. It's like a utility hallway with a bunch of pipes and shit like that. And West actually got the Anglin brothers on his escape plan, telling them like, "There's a fucking hallway back there. How do we get back there?" And this is why West was like the leader at first. He didn't have Morris to compete with him. The addition of Frank Morris is really what puts this plan into effect. West had no clue how to initially get out. Morris solved a lot of minor detail problems and came up with a real plan. So all four men who planned this were all side by side in B block. So this was great for their planning because they could actually talk at night when no one was paying attention. But they had to be very quiet, but they could talk. And they also plotted at the library, and they didn't communicate with words. What they would do, Morris had come up with this weird plan where they would hide, like put books back in a certain way. It would mean certain things. Like if you put, I don't know, Catcher in the Rye was put in the science section, that meant like 3:00, we're all going to meet at the fucking dining hall or some shit. Like fucking super intricate, like unnecessarily, but apparently necessary. Like I feel like you could have just written in a book or whatever. Anyways.
Yeah.
So they had to put upside down books in the fucking weird sections of the library. And then what does this one mean? I don't have my decoder ring this time. Fuck, I went to the wrong place. So they needed supplies, like more tools. Something would come their way. They knew that was going to do it. So they just kind of were patient about it. So Morris started to make a list of things they needed. They needed like a way off the island. So they thought, let's make a raft. So like I said, Morris spent a lot of his free time in the library, and he got himself a copy of Popular Mechanics, where it taught someone how to build a raft and how to make life preservers. I feel like that's a crazy thing to put in a jail that's surrounded by water. So
yeah,
Morris is like, this will be useful. I'm going to keep this in my cell. I'm bringing this back with me. Ends up being one of his favorite pieces of reading material, going through it every night. He just needed rubber, so he had to try and figure out how to get rubber. So they start stealing rain jackets. Now, this is where Alan West came into play like very well. Like the guy that'd been there for a long time. He knew a lot of the inmates, and he got a bunch of his friends that were there to steal rain jackets for him and just tell the guards that like, oh, we lost our rain jacket. And they would steal life jackets or rain jackets over the next 2 years. They stole like 38 or something, close to 40, if not 50 of them over those 2 years. And it was weird that's why West had to be like super involved, because there were a lot of snitches in Alcatraz. There were a lot of people talking to the guards. So you had to know who to trust because, like I said, you couldn't hide. So West was very useful in getting the jackets. A lot of the prisoners would do it not knowing what the escape plan was. They just knew that they wanted to steal something from the actual prison. So they would just steal it because it would piss someone off, which I like that attitude. Piss the man off. Let's do that. Rain jackets, check. They got those. They have an idea for a raft. They had to think how they're going to get to the bay and float away off said raft. They have a way out of the prison through that vent. So how do they get out of their cell? Morris suggests that they should leave in the dead of night. I was like, okay, obviously you're going to leave at night. I don't know why that was like, this guy's a genius. He thought to leave at night. Anyways, like an Anglin could have thought that up. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
In Alcatraz, inmates were checked on more than most inmates at different facilities. There had been a bloody escape attempt in 1937 that clamped down security for years, and it had been laxing in the past couple of years because they had a new warden who was trying to modernize the place. But Alcatraz was still a very like strict prison. Guards had to head count 12 times a day, once every 2 hours. I think it was once every hour for the daytime while they're awake, and then once every 2 hours at night. So for Morris to pick nighttime was like not that obvious. Anyways, now they needed a distraction too because they got to leave at night. We need a distraction. So Morris thinks that, hey, let's make dummies, like fake ass dummies. And you saw the dummy in that video that they put in the bed, right,
Oh
RJ?
yeah.
Like that's amazing. They write they're super realistic, but I mean they just painted them skin tone, and I don't know, they were just gonna put them in the bed, make it look like they're sleeping during count.
I mean, yeah. It's fucking dumb, and it makes it. There's no way like that. You got to be so stupid and so drunk, which a lot of people in the 1960s were, but there is no goddamn way that fooled anyone.
Oh, it's amazing. They decided to make these fake dummies. It took them 2 years to make four of them. Not really a dummy, like full dummies. They just made heads, I guess. The bodies were just like old jackets and clothes or whatever in the shape of a human. The dummy heads are great. They made them from plaster, flesh tone paint, and real human hair that Clarence Anglin worked at the barber shop and he just stole hair from the barber shop and brought it back up, and they made eyebrows and everything. Like it's amazing. The plaster was a mix of the concrete dust they were using to scrape the walls with, toothpaste, and toilet paper, which that's pretty clever. Like that's actually pretty good. I like it. And then they paint the dummy heads to make them look like humans. John Anglin had access to paint because he was painting. And yeah, so now they have a distraction. They have like an escape route. They just need tools to make this work. So in December of 1961, they finally got lucky and found something that would help them with like the tool side of things. John and Clarence came across some old saw blades and smuggled them into their cells. I think they said they found over 80 tools in all between all four of their cells after, which like I feel like it's just saw blades and spoons, which that's a lot.
Mm.
Each cell along the back wall had a 6 by 10 inch vent, and Wes noticed that these vents were attached to that unguarded utility hallway. So these blades would be perfect for cutting holes in the back of their cells to get into that hallway. And that would be through the vent. The vent was kind of small for a person, 6 by 10 inch. So they just had to widen those up. But there wasn't enough blades to go around for this. So they used spoons because each day after a meal, the guards would count the knives. They wouldn't count the spoons. So they had to steal spoons instead of knives to cut out. And they would just like bend the back of the spoon off and make it kind of sharp and do it that way.
Amazing.
Yeah. The plan, like I said, was to cut around the vent to make a bigger hole. So Morris and John Anglin were the first two to get through their vent. Their hole was 10 by 14 now. And to mask the sound of the work they were doing to the vents, Morris would play his accordion during the 1 hour inmates got to play instruments at night. So they gave them 1 hour to play instruments, all of them. Oh my God, that must have been so annoying. Like, can you imagine?
I just that's the type of shit that like just that baffles me because it's like they weren't like feeding them right and they were probably like fucking beating them and stuff and like just dehumanizing them in every way but then they're just like, well, obviously we have to give them time to practice the clarinet. Like, I mean, what are we, monsters?
I just imagine I imagine this guy just taking advantage of that. I don't know if he did play accordion the whole time or if he was just like, yes, I need an instrument for loud sounds so I can make different loud sounds. I mean, just because I want to learn. Like, I imagine this guy's being smart enough to realize that was a good opportunity for him.
Crazy.
The men would work in pairs. Two would work on their vents, the other two would be on watch. They made themselves little mini periscopes so they could see around corners. Keeping a lookout was important, but so was cleaning up their mess. Like all the concrete dust and chunks of concrete were either flushed down the toilet, kept for plaster, swept into the hallway, or scattered outside later on in their pockets. Which, like, sweeping into the hallway is a bold move. Like that's what I thought. Like you're just gonna sweep that into the hallway. Someone's gonna notice eventually.
Yeah.
Once the men were done, they needed something to cover up the hole so the guards wouldn't notice the big hole, like a cardboard or a suitcase. And yeah, that's what they wrote in the articles. The articles say they made the cardboard themselves, these inmates, out of the plaster and some old magazine pages. So they just like plaster up a bunch of pages. And then they cut like you saw the photo, like if you look at the video, I'm attaching it to the episode, you can see they cut out the cardboard to make it look like grates and painted it, but you can totally tell. Like if you see it, you can totally tell it's not hidden
what I'm
at all.
saying.
But I guess if you're not looking either, if you're like, if they would have paid attention, these guys would have never escaped. Honestly, that's all. They should have paid attention.
Yeah.
So at night after they got Anglin and Clarence Anglin, was it Clarence first? I think it was John Anglin and Morris. They got their backup first. So they were almost ready to escape. They went out to that utility hallway every night while the guys were watching, and they climbed a ladder up to the loft of the utility hall. There was like an extra floor that was kind of like a loft along all the blocks. And they went up there and they made like I don't know, a little bit of a workshop, I guess, up there where they could make their raft and all that kind of stuff out of the prying eyes of the guards. But they still needed to get that grate off where all the bars were blocking that one vent. So it was all screwed in and they didn't have a screwdriver. So they took one of the guys, I guess it was Alan West, stole a motor from a broken vacuum cleaner and they used that to make a homemade drill. They took that and one of the saw blades to make like a drill bit. And they used that to unscrew the big vent that was their means of escape to the roof. Which that's super ingenious to me. That's crazy that they just found they MacGyvered up a fucking screwdriver. So each of the men used it to drill. They didn't even take out the screws because it was too hard. They drilled around the vent to like knock it out so it would fall out. And after they got the vent opened, they put it back with fake screws made from soap. So if somebody ever did go up there, they wouldn't even tell that it was gone, which is another crazy to me. How do you hold something up with a chunk of soap, especially a big ass thing like that? These guys are smart. I do honestly think I don't give man enough time. They can figure shit out. You know what I mean? Everybody. I feel like people are very resourceful. That's all I think. Reading this is crazy.
Yeah. If you believe they did it.
They did to a point, yeah. If they did it. So now they have their little workshop. They have that vent out. They need to build the raft. So they got about up to 50. It says up to 50 raincoats. They don't know the exact number. We're brought to the workshop to build the raft. Using that article on Popular Mechanics, those raincoats were converted into a 6x14 rubber raft. 6 foot by 14 rubber raft. They stole some glue, some heavy thread, and they just fused it together with hot steam pipes that were running along the back. They used scraps of wood they found around the place to fabricate some makeshift paddles, and they even converted and this part I wrote early on when I started writing this, so this part's funny to me. I left it in because it's funny. They even converted a musical instrument into a tool to inflate the raft. I'm not sure what musical instrument yet, but I'm guessing it's a flute or some shit, maybe a recorder. I feel like there's lots of recorders during that music time that would have made it extra annoying, like beep, 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 beep. Everyone just learning on a recorder. But yeah, I just kept that in the early part of the script because I thought it was funny. It was actually the mini accordion thing they converted into a pump for air, which makes way more sense than just having a giant straw to blow through. I was like, is that what they're doing? Just using that as a straw? No, it's the accordion. So at 9:30 p.m. on June 11th, 1962, that's total darkness. Enters the D block at night. That's when nighttime. They shut her down. Tonight was their night. They were ready for their escape. Most of them were. West still didn't have his vent completely ready yet. He made his hole big enough, but didn't realize there were some pipes blocking his way. And the pipe wasn't in front of everybody else's thing. He was just the last guy to get through and went, oh no, there's pipes. So he couldn't squeeze through right away. He tried to that night. The other guys tried to pull the pipes, but they weren't moving at all. So they said, fuck it. They're just going to leave him. They ran off. He's still trying to kick his way through the night. So they leave through their grates, grab whatever they need, and head to the workshop to gather their raft. Once they get the raft, they get to the prison roof. pushed the raft off the edge of the roof near the bakery. Then the men shimmied down the bakery smokestack, which was located near the rear of the cell house. Then they lugged the raft, throw it over a barbed wire fence, this is the crazy part to me. How the fuck do you get it over 12 feet of fencing? It's a big ass raft, 12, like 6 by 14.
Clearly, you don't have 133 IQ.
That's true. So they chuck it over. They lug the raft, throw it to the fence near the north side of the east shore of the island. Using their recorder to inflate the raft, they launched it into the San Francisco Bay. So every day at 6 a.m., inmates wake up to a loud whistle. That's what they said. And then by 7:15, the second whistle goes off. This was alarm for head count. And you had to be standing at the edge of your cell, ready to start your day. On June 12th, 1962, everyone except three inmates were standing at the edge of their cell. John Anglin was the first one noticed. A guard went to the edge. He saw a guy laying in the bed, which is that fake dummy head, and he still didn't catch on right away. He's like, "Get up! You got to get up now!" And the guard went in and poked him with his rifle, and his head fell off. And I imagine this guard going, "Ah!" And then like, "Oh, it's just a dummy." Like I imagine that's how dummy is. He's just terrified of the head rolling off the guy.
1960s sitcom.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, some guy comes in, "Oh, you idiot! That ain't no man. That's paper mache."
The warden's just slapping him in the back of the head like he always does it.
Yeah.
You idiots! Yeah. So as soon as they notice that guy's gone, they notice the other two guys are gone. Then they sound the alarms. Guards start searching the outside. They get bloodhounds to come to the island to search. I don't know if they had bloodhounds on the island. I would imagine probably. I don't know. I just know they had bloodhounds searching the island. They have boats circling the island, looking in all the crags and all the stuff around it, rocks and stuff. They have helicopters flying, looking for people floating in the ocean or I guess, San Francisco Bay. Nothing. They don't see anything. When inspecting the cells to kind of investigate, I guess, guards noticed that one inmate had a hole in his back wall but didn't escape, and this was Alan West. And then West pretty much says, "I'll tell you everything. This is all me, guys. FBI, this was me. I did this." So he tells them the entire story. So this is how the FBI kind of gets the story of what happened, or at least like a close to version of what happened, because I'm imagining West lied a lot, and we'll see why in a couple seconds. But they piece together what happened because of all the things that he said actually match up to what's going on, kind of. None of the three men who supposedly escaped in 1962 have ever been found. The FBI got thousands of tips, followed up on hundreds, and nothing amounted to anything of any substance. No one really knows what happened to these three men, but there are theories on this. I knocked it down to 3 because I didn't want to go on forever. So that being said, RJ, do you have any good theories as to what you think may have happened here?
Yeah, the guards killed them and made it up.
My first theory, they never made it off the rock. And I think it's got to be this. It's the only thing that makes sense to me. Alcatraz was probably a place that if you got beat or punished in it was a bad one. They're fucking off on an island where no one's watching them except for themselves.
Yeah. Do you know how incompetent you have to fucking be to like miss all of these dumb things that they were like, they're so clever, and it's just like a fucking like arts and crafts thing that like
sure.
a 7-year-old, 133 IQ, and it's like, no, he wouldn't have gone through all that trouble if he was that smart. That's something that you do when the alternative to looking stupid is so much worse.
Agreed.
That's the only time people in those positions of power make themselves look bad like that, is if they actually did something much more heinous.
Yeah, I agree. That's literally what, like, this theory isn't even it's one of the minor theories that I think this has got to be it. Like, these guys try to escape, they're caught by some fucking snipers and shot before they even hit the water. And then something.
Oh, I don't even think they tried to escape.
Oh, no, you think it was like that?
Oh, yeah, I think the guards murdered them for what, probably for like, doing something awful like talking or something. And I think that it was probably something that was happening a lot and needed to stop, and they made this thing out of it, and then it blew up bigger than it needed to. And what better way for the warden to jump on stuff and try to get that money than by claiming that they, you know what I mean? Like
I
it
think
just it.
I think you could be right, but there's also pictures of like sleeves from fucking rain jackets in that little loft area. Like they have a lot of actual evidence that someone actually tried to escape. Like I do agree
Yeah.
that I
But I
think
mean,
that
like, how many fucking people over the years probably tried to escape? And wouldn't it be likely that they would confiscate that stuff and have it around to look at or show, or
you're
just
right.
like,
It
you
could
know what I
be.
mean? So this very well could be half of all of this shit is all just collected like over the years, and they're just like, we'll use the raincoat thing and say that they made that, and you know, nobody knows about that one.
I just think they probably got to a point, got their heads blown up by some snipers, and this warden was supposed to be like this big reformist trying to make the prison a nicer place, and they didn't want to tell the warden. I think the guards did this, got in over their heads, and thought they were going to get in trouble, so they just covered it up without even telling. And the warden completely thinks they escaped. You know what I mean? Like just these guards covered it.
I don't know.
That's where my mind
Wardens
went with it.
love covering for the guards, though.
That's true.
They
Not.
fucking
You're
they
not
love that shit because like it, and that's the thing, and they won't fire them because that makes them look culpable as well because they would have hired and kept someone on like that. It's just the same old fucking story, dude. And it's like if it can happen today, people are getting beat to death today, like in the open. You're gonna tell me that like it couldn't, you know what I mean? Like
I don't
that's
think
why
it
like
could.
I fail to believe.
I totally think they could have been sent to the hole. They found their holes in the back of their. They were trying to escape that way. They sent to the hole and got fucking starved to death. And they went,
Oh yeah, I
whoopsie.
think it was awful. I think it was like whatever it was had to be so bad
Yeah.
that they had to cover it up like that. But I think that's what it was. I think it was something really fucking bad.
Yeah. If like, and I'm going with 95%. I think that's what happened. But if they escaped, it's crazier than anything that, like, it's such an unbelievable story that like people would believe it. You know, the bigger the lie, the bigger the people are
Yeah.
gonna believe it. So yeah, whatever way they died, which I completely think isn't on the ocean. It's something that happened in that prison, and they just covered it up and said, "You're right." And they said, "Who? It's better just say they escaped because we're going to jail. Like there are still laws for
Mm-hmm.
us, and if this gets to the media,
Yeah. I think they would have loved if it could have been snipers as they were trying to escape because that would have, you know, like the rabid idiocy of the American public back then, even now, you know, would somehow condone that. I mean, if they can condone murdering a mom inside of her car while she's turning it around, then they can condone most things. But one thing they probably can't is like genuine torture. And I think that that's probably what they did.
yeah, you're probably
And they made them like these weird folksy heroes about it. But I think that it is something horrifyingly sinister.
for sure. And that's not like it's not out of the realm of possibilities. I'm totally in for that. Okay, so let's talk about the theories that the FBI what they think. So the FBI's main theory is that the FBI report says that the guards could have covered it up, but it's a possibility, but it's isn't their main possibility, which to me it's like that's the main one. How is that not the I guess blue covers blue. Like, you know, I get that. I sure. The FBI's main theory is that they didn't, even though they have no real way of supporting this, is that they died on the water. They died trying to escape. But like they never, no one's seen the Anglin brothers. No one's seen Frank Morris anywhere. They've never found a body. There's been sightings, but like anything big news like this, people still see Elvis. Even if Elvis did fake his death, he would be long dead anyway. He'd be old and dead.
Yeah.
So,
Well, yeah, right? No, because I think Clint Eastwood's older than he is. We found that out.
that's true. Yes. That's
Yeah,
true.
it's one of those weird things. I mean, he's still Clint Eastwood should also be dead, but
yeah, for sure. I'm just saying, like, people still see
yeah.
Elvis. Like sightings happen all the time. But they're going with we didn't find them, but they're dead for sure. And they have a case. Like the San Francisco Bay would have been like 50 degrees Fahrenheit at that time. And depending when they actually hit the ocean, if they would have hit the ocean anytime past 10:30 p.m., the currents would have sucked them right out into the Pacific, never to be seen again. If they went between 9:30 and 10:30, there's a possibility they could have got through there, but that gives them one full hour to get from their back of their prison cell up on a roof, throw a raft down, throw a raft over top, pump up a raft, and get on the ocean. I feel like it takes more than an hour for all that, but I could be wrong. I can't really picture the scope, the size of the place. So after a couple days after the escape, investigators find a plastic bag filled with pictures, and it's like a wallet, I guess. It was double wrapped and had a bunch of pictures of the Anglin family and a list of names that some were associated with the Anglins, but some of them were, they called all these phone numbers and were like, I don't know who you're talking about. But a lot of them were people that knew John and Clarence Anglin. So this is presumed to be one of the brothers things as they were trying to escape, and I guess they lost it in the ocean because they wouldn't have just like left it because it was so precious to them. But like, I don't know, that could be part of the cover up too, I guess. Like they could have just thrown that thing in the ocean and said, "Look what I found! They're dead for sure." And
Yeah, I just fucking ran it under the faucet.
For sure. So another thing that they found was a Norwegian freighter headed out to the underneath the Golden Gate Bridge on July 17th, which would have been a couple days after. The captain saw something bobbing in the water, and they get closer and they see it's a dead man floating. This report doesn't make it to the investigators till about a couple months after, and it could have been one of the escapees because it definitely happened. It's in the ship log. They wouldn't have written it down the instant they found the dead body. But like, why not report it to like the Coast Guard or something? Then I don't know. I don't get that part. It could have been one of the guys, but it also could be just like someone who jumped from the bridge. In those days, the Golden Gate Bridge had over 30 suicide deaths per year. Most of the bodies were never found again.
The good old days.
Yeah. Do you ever see what they did now? It's to prevent suicide from the Golden Gate Bridge. I was reading this whole thing.
They electrify it.
Yeah, they put these nets underneath it, and they're designed to hurt you, not let you die. So if you land on them, it's fucking painful, but you survive. And they have like guys on call to come fucking rescue from this net at the bottom. So like it's supposed to be a deterrent from you jumping because it's just gonna injure you badly. That's fucked up. It's designed to hurt you.
Yeah, that's ugh. But I mean, leave it to the city with the one of the highest homeless populations in the United States that also simultaneously puts fucking armrests in the middle of benches and spikes
so people
on
can't sleep. Yeah, fucking ass.
yeah underneath any overhangs in buildings.
Yeah, no, for sure. Make it uncomfortable for these homeless.
Can't
Fine.
can't even fucking chill out and kill yourself anymore.
I gotta sleep on spikes. Fuck.
Yeah, it's bullshit.
Yeah, so there was a guy that had jumped the night before, like on June 16th. His name was Seymour Webb, and he jumped off the bridge in front of witnesses, and his body was never recovered. So it seems more likely that it was that guy than the guys from like, I don't know, weeks before or whatever.
Yeah, probably.
It doesn't mean they didn't like die in the ocean. It just means that like it doesn't mean they did either. Like, I don't think any of that evidence is real evidence. It's just people say that they did.
Yeah.
Cool. The other one, the last theory is the raft made it across and they escaped. So FBI says this is a low probability as well theory, but it's possible. So Alan West told the FBI that the plan was to paddle to Angel Island, which is another island that's close by. It used to be an immigration station. Now it was, by that time it was already all grown over, but to me, the most logical place would be just to go to the city. It's only a mile and a half or a mile and a quarter, than to just go to another island and then boat from that island back over. But that's his plan says that. Okay, sorry. 1 second.
I'm good.
Legend goes that even though San Francisco Bay has strong currents and freezing cold water, the three young men paddled or swam the mile-long distance, got to Angel Island, and escaped somehow from there. Other inmates had escaped to Alcatraz by swimming, but barely survived and were almost caught immediately. In December 1962, two other inmates attempted to escape using homemade water wings, which I found fun. They just made water wings instead of a full raft. One guy gave up early, didn't even make it off Alcatraz. It was too cold, and he just got caught before getting too far. But the other guy was found.
Come on.
The other guy was found by a kid underneath the Golden Gate Bridge. It looked like he was dead. Some kid was like, "Oh, called the cops," but he was actually alive. He had hypothermia, but he survived it. So it was possible to swim it, but he got caught pretty much instantly after that. It would have been hard to do this considering how cold the San Francisco Bay is, and it would be easy to be sucked out into the Pacific with the tide. if they did make it off the island, Alan West told them that their plan was to get to Angel Island, steal some clothes in a car, maybe some weapons, and escape again, get on the raft again and sail to the Marin County and disappear from there. There's no reported stolen cars from that night. Angel Island, as soon as he said this, they sent 200 soldiers to Angel Island to search it. Boats circled the island, nothing. Helicopters again, nothing. And the FBI investigated for 17 years before closing this case. I'm sure they would have come across a missing car. Like, that would have been the major thing for me. They would have needed to find a way to escape. There were some weird things going on to show that they may have been alive. This is why they stayed open for so long. Like, the case didn't just get instantly closed. So John and Clarence Anglin's mother claimed that every year she got flowers on Mother's Day with no card, and she assumed it was them just sending them like anonymously. The FBI watched the Anglins heavily and never saw the kids ever. They even attended the mother's funeral when she died in 1973. Never showed up. Years
That's
later,
crazy. Leave them alone.
that's what I said. Like, wow, this is 10 years has passed. Like, fucking calm down. But I feel like the Anglin family liked the attention from it too. Like, I feel like they were getting paid to do interviews and shit because they're such a poor family. They were all about talking about, like, they years later, the Anglin family were given a photograph from an old friend of John and Clarence. The photo showed two men standing near a rock, supposedly taken on a farm in Brazil in 1975. This was 2 years after the mom already died. So they were like cashing in on like, and apparently some forensic expert looked at this photo and says that it's got to be the brothers. But the photos of two men with beards wearing sunglasses, like it could be anyone. Like, how can you tell? It's an old photo from 1975. Like, maybe, you know what I mean? In 2013, there's other things too that are happening. I'll just tell you the main one. So in 2013, the FBI receives a mysterious letter from a man who claims to be John Anglin. The letter said that he, his brother Clarence, and Frank Morris had all narrowly escaped and lived full lives. The letter claimed that Clarence died in 2011 at the age of 80. Frank Morris died in 2008 at the age of 82. The letter also requested that if the authorities only give him 1 year sentence for his crimes, that he reveal his exact whereabouts. And he kept saying, "This isn't a joke, man." Like, if you have to say this isn't a joke, I don't believe you. And then the investigation reopened, and the FBI did some DNA tests on the letter for, like, I don't know, whatever, licking the thing closed or whatever, the envelope closed, which come back inconclusive. And the letters were buried from the public eyes until 2018 when they were released. There's also a variation of like how they escaped too. Like, instead of getting on the raft, making it to shore, there was another boat waiting for them in the bay, helping them escape. They have some witness saying that he saw some boat just sitting there with flashlights in the bay that night. And then the flashlights, there was no fishing nets or anything like that, just a bunch of flashlights. Then the flashlights turned off. And then when he looked back, it was gone. The help they would have needed would have to been someone who was very rich or very deeply involved in crime. Like, why else are you going to help these guys? Like, they find a reason. Apparently, when West went to the D block, he was incarcerated beside a guy named Ellsworth Bumpy Johnson, and he was a New York gangster, and he would have had the power to orchestrate something like this. So while he was in the hole, he met a fucking gang lead, like a gangster. The guy's like, "Yeah, sure, I'll help you get out of here. Why not? Why wouldn't I? You know, I can get you a boat. I can get you a boat." This guy,
Bumpy the boat procurer.
Yeah, why would this guy do this? That's what why?
Hold on to your ass. It's gonna be a me ride.
Good old Bumpy. Yeah, he would have power to do this, but why would he? Like, he stayed incarcerated till his death of heart disease in prison in 1968. And if he did help, was it just to like get back at the man? Like, that's what they're saying. He just wanted to like say fuck you to the police. Like, that seems like a lot. That seems like a lot to put into some random guys who want to escape Alcatraz. And then my final thought was Donald Trump posting on his Truth saying that he's going to reopen Alcatraz just to make it a symbol of law and justice. So we might see Alcatraz come back, because you know him. He always follows through with every plan he says. Like, there's a nice big wall around you guys now. There's a nice big wall. America is great again. He said he was going to do that. It's already done. He's posting videos of Michelle and Obama as monkeys. He's a great leader.
Yeah,
I like
dude.
him.
Do you know what? You want to know something about that? I saw something I never thought I would see in my entire life, and that had genuine widespread disapproval across the conservative subreddit,
Oh yeah.
which is usually just full of fucking Russian bots. But it was interesting to see people like expressing their discontent with that. And granted, don't get me wrong, they still like were way underselling it, but they were just like, this is terrible and embarrassing and unbecoming and blah blah blah. And it's like, I mean, you could say the word racist, but whatever. That's still from you, very damning. Okay, they deleted it too, the video.
Yeah, once it's on the internet, it's not deleted. It's still there. It's just not.
Oh no, yeah, for sure. But it's funny to know that they took it down, because it's like, well, like what else have they walked back? Next to nothing. And it's just interesting that like
he found the line. He found the line.
He literally, for the No Kings protest, he made a fucking AI video of him in a crown flying a jet and dumping poop all over the protest.
Everyone was like, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, all right, well, we didn't walk that one back.
All right. Bombing your own people, cool. Not calling an ex-president a monkey, not cool.
Yeah.
We're both on the agreements. They got fucking killed, right? Like, that's the solve of this. They all got killed for sure before they even.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. Like, even if like by some miracle the prison system wasn't as deadly back then as it is now, the water was still the same.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's solved. Like, I don't know why this. Everyone loves this story too, because it does show like.
I get it. Yeah.
I kind of agree. I kind of get it that it's been made into movies. It's been glorified. It's been changed, right? These guys are kind of like scumbags, just trying. But like Clint Eastwood, speaking of Clint Eastwood, he played like Frank Morris in the Escape from Alcatraz movie, right? And they made him like, they made him not this guy who's just trying to escape just to see if he could do it, more like a persecuted man in jail for a wrong reason. And he's escaping for his freedom that he deserves, you know? So you get that kind of thing.
I love that. Yeah.
And then it evolves into like, it was impossible to do it. And these guys figured out how to do it against all odds. It just shows like, if you put your mind to something, you can do it. I get the whole like appeal to it, but these guys are scumbags, not good people. And they got shot. Like, the people who shot them are also scumbags. It's just one big scumbaggery that got made into this legend. So
welcome to humanity.
Yeah, a bunch of scumbags got made half the scumbags in the scumbag story legends. Thanks, Clint Eastwood, I guess. Thank you, Clint Eastwood.
He turns and says, "You're welcome," to an empty chair.
Where are we?
I just watched Private Dicks, and I think RJ is the funniest.
What? Come on.